What is the worst thing you've overheard while pretending to be asleep? My friends talking about going into my wallet later and steal my money, and then leave before I notice. I kick them out. Some friends hug. When I was a wee tot, I pretended to be asleep in the family room so I wouldn't have to actually go to bed, and once my parents were distracted, I could keep watching TV. I then got to hear my dad proposition my mom for couch sex. It's been many years so I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of hop on pop. My mom trying to calm my dad down out of a suicidal fit. My brother and I had been really bad that day, and when he grounded us, we both told him that we hated him and wanted him to go away. He didn't do anything wrong. My brother and I were just a couple of immature little cunts. I'm pretty sure blackout drunk at this point, which I had never seen and still haven't saw since that night, walked into our room that night and I pretended to fall asleep. Then he just started these deep, haunting sobs that I'll probably never forget. He stumbled outside and we could hear him begging my mom to let him die and sobbing. All I've ever wanted in my entire life was to be a better dad than mine. I was only 11 or so, but it fucking destroyed my heart. I think that's the time I learned that emotional pain can actually physically hurt. I was hunched over in my bed bawling my eyes out and on the verge of throwing up. I also felt like an asshole for crying over what we said. My brother was thankfully able to sleep through it all. I think about that once every 2 weeks or so, and I always message him to tell him I love him when I do. I hope he forgot about it, but being a dad myself now, I don't think it's something you totally forget. It might not hurt like it did in the moment, but I don't think you forget. Like most heartbreaking things, I guess. My mom and aunt talking, thinking 10-year-old me was asleep. Aunt, little Runzengoses is so cute. Mom, no. He's not very good looking at all. Had the same experience, but the difference was that I wasn't asleep and my mom said that in front of me. That I was dying with meningitis, but jokes on the doctors, I'm still kicking. Not me, but my wife heard her boyfriend having sex with her best friend. This was obviously long before we met. My mom on a payphone, begging her boyfriend for more heroin. Edit. My mom was driving around town late at night, probably trying to score, and I was sleeping in the passenger seat. She stopped at a parking lot. I woke up and pretended to be asleep. This was back when payphones were in convenience store parking lots everywhere. Mid-90s. Edit 2. Last I heard, my mom is clean and doing well enough. I haven't talked to her in almost 20 years. It's healthier for me that way. I'm sorry. Hope you're doing alright now. Thank you for the kind words. I'm totally fine now. That was 25 years ago. Acted asleep while family were talking amongst themselves about getting me married off to this girl who's educated but 5 years older than me. I was 15. Then she got married and divorced and absolutely ragdoll abused. So I actually feel bad about it now. Hey, I don't think you should feel bad about it at all. You were only 15 and what happened to her was entirely the fault of her abuser. You had no responsibility for it at all. You said she's divorced, so I hope she's doing better now, but don't feel guilty. My family was staying at a friend's house and had to share a room. My dad comes to bed hammered and says to my mum something along the lines of, "Does it impress you that I'm this drunk and can still perform? I actually wanted to die. Wow, reading this gave me bystander desire for death. Glad you made it through that one." Had a bunk bed in college and one night my girlfriend and I woke up to my roommate banging some chick on the top bunk. My girlfriend asked me what we should do and I just mumbled just go back to sleep because I figured saying something to them at the moment would make things much more awkward. He still doesn't know. Bang your girl to assert dominance. This is the correct response. Players 3 and 4 have entered the game. When I was like 10 or 11 I visited my dad and while we were watching a movie I tried to fall asleep and I proceeded to hear him fuck his GF on the bed I was trying to sleep on. When I woke up all I saw was clothes on the floor. I don't know why I didn't just get up and leave, but at least I fell asleep before it really started. No offense, but WTF is wrong with your dad? My then stepmom's nephews talking about what they would do to me sexually if given the chance. I was 14. They were 17, 19 and 21. Thankfully the window to the motorhome was slightly open, and my dad heard the entire thing. I was scared of boys for a long time after that. That's awful. Unfortunately, I was at the perfect age and stage of my life that it messed me up for a while. Had I been younger, I wouldn't have understood what they meant. Had I been older, I would have been better equipped to understand that all males were not like this. Thankfully, their marriage imploded shortly after. Turns out that essentially their entire family were shitbags. I hope you were able to get help for that trauma. That's so fucked up. What did your dad do when he heard them talking? What did your dad do when he heard them talking? He listened until they were done. He and my stepmom were sitting at the table in the RV. I was in the overhead bed. The boys were out by the campfire. Then he went out and ripped them a new one. It's actually been years since I even thought about this. One day I just realized it wasn't fair to punish other men for what these assholes tried to do. Thank you though. My sister's soon-to-be fiancé wanking while saying her name. At least he wasn't saying someone else's name. Solid commitment to wank over your partner. This is a case of next to everything else in this thread. This looks positively heartwarming. No wonder people at school think he's gay. My stepmom. My stepdad thought I was gay from the ages 16-19 based on the fact when I got my driver's license I wasn't out 24/7 chasing tail. Are you gay? Nope. But 8-year-old me didn't know that. Did that make you question your sexuality? No, but it made me be a lot less physical with my male best friend. Because what used to be fun wrestling play fight stuff now made me think will this make people think I'm gay? Unless you were naked with boners and making out. I think most people assume kids are being kids. If a male child is 4 and wants to wear a dress, he's not gay. He's just having fun. Parents are the ones that project their prejudices onto their kids. My roommate and her FWB having loud, dirty talk sex. I just had my wisdom teeth out and I think they assumed I was passed out on pain meds. Well, my friends sucking each other's dick. They were 16. Did you feel left out? I did. Parents talking about plans for when they were going to have sex. What were the plans? My dad coming home from work at lunchtime the next day to do it while we kids would be at school. When I got back from school that day, I couldn't look my parents in the eyes. Let mommy kiss you. Hello, no thanks mom. You have penis breath. My parents discussing whether or not I was gay and exploring where they went wrong with raising me. Too many hugs. My mom and stepdad talking mad shit about me. I was in high school and needed to start seeing the counselor for mental health issues. My parents were essentially making fun of me, saying that I wanted attention and started mocking my voice saying, "No one understands me. I'm so mistreated." Sounds like a caring mother. My dad and stepmom was having a foursome with a couple of their friends. We were at a summer house and they did it in the living room. I felt so uncomfortable eating breakfast the next day. Before I got divorced, was laying in bed late, 11 AM or so, on my day off, after a long string of I think 10 or so work days in a row. My ex, who refused to get a job, was in the next room playing a video game, and I heard him say that motherfucking bitch is still sleeping. The motherfucking bitch paying all the bills so you can sit on your ass 24/7? Yikes. Glad you got out of there. Oh my gosh. Nearly the same thing happened to me, except my ex-husband was bitching on the phone to someone, I think his mom, how I was still sleeping so he hadn't had breakfast yet. My sister got drunk and I heard a loud thud and she blacked out. 2 of her friends and my mom and dad were shouting at each other and they were saying to shut up cause they didn't want to wake me up and they were all crying thinking she was dead and I couldn't tell my sister I was happy she didn't die. Now I appreciate seeing her every week. I think she died. Shut up, you're gonna wake up, Fox fails. Sounds like the right priority, lol. Was 9 at the time so they were probably right not to let me see her like that. They made the right decision. My dad died when my niece was about the same age and living in the house. He died of natural causes, but my stepmom still ran to get my sister to do CPR instead of shouting so my niece didn't have to see her grandfather like that. I know people are giving you a hard time, but I didn't choose to see my dad's body even though I was in college. I hope my niece was protected from the same sight in similar circumstances to your own. I have never been able to ask. I wasn't pretending to be asleep %, but I was well on my way. I was under anesthesia and was fading in and out. I remember closing my eyes to help move things along. I was in a lot of pain because my appendix ruptured. This happened years ago, so I can't remember all of the details. Unfortunately, I remember being moved over to an operating table, and they told me to take my shirt off. I think I heard someone go, "What do you think would happen if I poked her belly button right now?" I was an outie prior to having an appendectomy. They went through my belly button, so that is no longer the case. Anyway, someone, very quickly, responded, "Dude, that is not funny. Remember what happened the last time?" It's possible I was starting to dream, but I remember it making me feel a mix of amusement and anxiety, faced with tears of joy. Something like, "She's too old for this. I'm not going to carry her up to bed anymore," and that was the last time I was magically transported from the living room couch to my bedroom. This is so sad. My son is nearly 13 and was 11 when I was last able to pick him up. When I did, I nearly threw my back out and realized this would be the last time I would be able to carry him. I ended up sitting in his bed crying. I can still carry my daughter, 6, at least. Edit. Just want to say thank you for my first 2 awards, and for all the lovely words and stories. Didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Trying to read all the replies, but it's the middle of a Sunday afternoon in Australia and playing Uno with my daughter. This is going to be me. Really bad back and my kid is at the top of the growth charts. He's a toddler and some days it's already a struggle for me. Then I see up the thread people being judgy about people who didn't want to be parents and not giving a shit, and it just makes me sad to think about when I won't be able to do it anymore. I was a camp counselor. 2 girls very much like to make hot or not lists. One of them suggested a male counselor was hot, and the other said he was saying mean things about me behind my back, which made him not hot. Hurt to hear that from my campers, but glad they supported me. We could do it. She wouldn't tell anyone if we took photos of her first. Yikes. On a class trip, I heard a girl talk badly about me to the other girls in my room, saying I was a retard and too dumb to stand up for myself. She said the only reason she didn't bully me out of the school was because she needed me to help her with my homework. Then my best friend stood up for me. She said that I wasn't dumb and just a bit shy, and then told her to F off. My mom and stepdad talking mad shit about me. I was in high school and needed to start seeing the counselor for mental health issues. My parents were essentially making fun of me, saying that I wanted attention, and started mocking my voice, saying, "No one understands me. I'm so mistreated." When I was around 8 years old, I was supposed to be asleep, but I snuck downstairs to get milk or something. I heard talking going on downstairs, so I stood still and listened. My mom was talking to my brother about how much of a problem I was and how she hated me. She always liked my brother more. I just silently crept back upstairs and cried myself to sleep. Good times. Room full of people talking about how they didn't like me, included friends and family members. My then boyfriend opening up our bedroom door to show me off to his friends while I was sleeping. It was the middle of summer, so I was lying butt naked on our bed. He thought I was asleep. Huge fight occurred the next morning and we were not dating for long after that event. WTF, man. I'm still pissed off about that. You knew I was naked.
Baby, walk through, but he know. Ay, walk through with her attitude.